Hi, and welcome. It's Michigan's AutoTalk Podcast. This is episode number 85. We remind you every episode of Michigan's AutoTalk is all about celebrating the automobile, everything automotive. We're also helping and supporting you, car and truck owners across the great state of Michigan. Not only do we have two certified automotive technicians hosting the program, John Puhek and Schwinkendorf, we are really here to kind of talk cars with you and talk with people we find interesting as well. Don't forget, every episode is available on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can even tell your Amazon Alexa smart speaker to play Michigan's AutoTalk Podcast, and just like that, it'll start playing it. And we're on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Michigan's AutoTalk. So, guys, we just went...
Can I say, a lot of people are on Facebook. Go on Facebook and put stuff in there. I try to monitor it and see what's what. I know we neglected it for a while, but if there's a subject you want us to talk about, by all means, put it up there and we'll find it and we'll go with it. I mean, we want to talk about what you people want to hear. I mean, if you don't listen, this is useless. So get on there and tell us what you like.
And just for full disclosure, there are people listening. We this little program has been downloaded going on 8,000 times. So we know we have listeners out there, and as Al said, we would love to hear from you on our Facebook page. And again, just search Michigan's Auto Talk on Facebook. And if you've never ever been, on a podcast site, you don't need one. If you've got a Google phone, you've got an app that will play the podcast right from your phone as well. If you're listening to this on the desktop, you can also listen on your iPhone or iOS device as well. So I wanted to talk about, we just had the mother of all November snowstorms, and I think I saw the final total in Grand Rapids, this is airport total, was like near 27 inches. East Grand Rapids, and I have a weather nerd friend who lives there, their National Weather Service total, I don't know if you guys saw this. It was 31.1 inches, and I just about lost my mind. I
got to believe we're over 2 foot where I live. Just what was built up on the railing on the deck before the wind and the warm weather melted it off. It was insane.
So what happened at the shop after the what hit the fan?
You know what? A lot of people called and wanted their winter tires put on, and procrastinators doing all that kind of stuff, which happens every year. And it's just like, settle down a little bit because, we're going to have some mild weather here for another 3-4 weeks before it hits again. But it's the same thing that happens every year. And it's funny to me because I think there's a few things we need to talk about. Is you've got a Cadillac Escalade that's all-wheel drive that weighs 8,000 pounds. Do you really need winter tires? Antifreeze. And I will tell you, and I think John will agree with this, because if you go in the old green antifreeze, ethylene glycol, if you mixed it 50-50, I think the protection was like 34 below zero. And you got to remember that even if the wind chill's 34, you're talking inside a radiator, behind a grill, and everything else. So 34 below zero, it's got to be like 50 below outside to freeze that. Most of the vehicles we see nowadays are overprotected, 40, 50, 60 below zero, which means it's doing its job in the winter, but it's not helping you out in the summer. And guess what? Heat kills engines much more than cold does. Unless you crack a block. Don't you agree, John?
Yep. No, I definitely do. And I think there's so much of an overkill, like, oh, I need a block heater and all this stuff. It's like, just do, read the fine print and, on the bottle and actually figure out what you're doing. But yeah, no, the coolant's a huge thing. And the tires are another that I have seen. They always come in waves, and I think, Al, you'll agree, it's almost maybe 2 to 3 years. That's when the winter tires get worn out and cycle out. And so we have people that come in and they request us to put a snow tire set on, and I take the summer tires off, and the people that I really don't care for want me to dismount the tires and put the snow tires on the same rims. If you're going to do all this stuff,
good point.
Just get a second set of rims, TPMS sensors, have changed drastically within the last couple of years. So even if you've got 2 sets of tires, you can still keep that tire light off and it'll still keep factory pressure. But also we see so many, just because it's a Blizzak tire doesn't mean it's better than your summer tire. We have taken off summer tires
when
that
it's
have
got 4/32
exactly.
It,
Yeah.
it's worse.
We take a summer tire off that's 16 thousandths of an 30 seconds versus a 4/30 seconds. Oh, well, no, it's a snow tire. It's good. It's good in snow. Okay, fine.
Well, here's the deal. A winter tire, and they don't call them snow tires anymore. They're winter tires.
Yeah.
And if you just touch them, if you see a Blizzak or something, take your thumb and try to move that tread around there like bubblegum soft. And yes, they give you better traction. They give you better braking and everything else. But if you need those on a 5,000-pound 4-wheel drive vehicle,
you're an idiot.
There's a problem right there. You got a driving issue. I don't know if I'm going to go idiot, but
yeah. No.
I know
you're done.
But the other thing is, if you buy the tires, make the investment in some rims, because every time you take a tire off a rim and you remount it, you compromise the bead.
Yep.
And the leaks that people come in, that guy who's at the gas station every morning getting his coffee and putting air in the right front tire, is because that bead is compromised, be it from rust and corrosion on the rim, or the tire bead itself being beat up because it's been dismounted and remounted 3 times. If you're going to do winter tires, get some rims. And the other thing is, if you do the math, the way I look at it, when it's September and you have 4/30 seconds left on your tires, you fight with them all winter long. And then in the spring, you go out and you buy some new tires and you drive down dry roads and you don't enjoy the benefits of it. 3/30 seconds is where the wear bar is. And that's where you're supposed to pitch the tires and go replace them from a safety standpoint. But if you've got 5 and it's November, buy them now and get that winter, the benefit of those new tires with the 12/30 seconds or 9/30 seconds on them, and just throw them away and say, hey, I need new winter tires if I'm going to go that way. We have too many people who buy tires in the spring and they were miserable all winter long because they just, they had a little bit of life left. Well, that's one of the biggest mess ups that we see.
I want to dive right in on what you just said, and I want to reemphasize this. Somebody like me, I drive a Toyota Highlander. It's a big, I would say it's a mid-size, classified as a mid-size.
Pretty heavy mid-size.
SUV. It's pretty heavy. I have run all-season tires on that. In fact, I run Michelin Defender LTX, and that thing is great in the snow. I have never seen the reason, yet I have a friend who has a Subaru, and he put snow tires on it. Now, and I know some people they'd like it. It's kind of something they did because their dad did and their grandpa did it, right? I mean, isn't that a lot of the psychology there?
I think there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of mental
confidence,
not cushion, or just like mental, like, oh, I feel better now. Now I'm going to be okay. Because
right. It's peace of mind.
Those are the people that drive like idiots.
Exactly. Yeah.
All that.
I'm a little bit younger than you guys, but I always had a front wheel drive car,
which was awesome.
That's what I started in. Rear. And I never put snow tires on. I have lived in Michigan all my life. I have driven on seasonal roads. It's called keeping your speed up, knowing how to turn and brake and all that jazz. And then my first couple trucks were rear wheel drive. So you put some sandbags in there and you get at it and you figure it out. Yeah. And so like, I see these people that, like we were talking earlier, you've got a 4-wheel drive. Oh, I got to put snow tires on. If you have a 4-wheel drive and you need snow tires, you need to reevaluate how you drive.
It.
Yeah.
I live off a seasonal road, a dirt road that does not get plowed. And I just have all seasonal tires. I have never been stuck once. I have pulled people out of ditches. I have, it's just, you got to learn how to drive. But I think a lot of it is just that mental comfortness of, I've got the Blizzax. I've got the Blizzax on my Lincoln Escalade or my Lincoln Navigator, whatever, Cadillac Escalade. You know, oh, that feels so much better. I'm.
And those are the people that put them on in August.
Exactly.
And Phil just told us last episode his first car was a 4-door Fairmont with a 4.3. That car weighed like 1,500. That was the lightest car in the world. That was the first car with American made with aluminum bumpers.
Yep.
It was. I mean, that car weighed absolutely nothing, and your dad didn't buy you snow tires, I bet.
No, he did not.
No, you drove around on what was on it.
It was a front wheel and Al and
the Fairmont was rear wheel drive.
Yeah,
you didn't get front wheel drive till you got the Lynx.
I think you're right. I was thinking it was front wheel drive. You're right. It was rear wheel drive, and you know what? Just like Puick said, that was in the late 70s and 80s. You learned how to drive. It's just. It's just as simple as that, and there was nothing else.
You went to the mall parking lot and did donuts when it snow was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Sean O'Neill and I used to talk about that all the time. You know, you got a half-ton 2-wheel drive pickup and it's snowing out. It's like, yeehaw, let's go find some big hills and see what we can climb. It was, and it's just different. And I know that there's safety and everything else involved, but the tire industry went from snow tires until they brought out the Blizzax, and that was a big deal. And people love Blizzax. And I know people who drive, my ex drove Blizzax on her all-wheel drive terrain in the summer because it rode so nice and it handled so nice, but they lasted like 10,000 miles and they're expensive. So it's like Formula One. You want the soft hards or the mediums? How long do they need to last, you know? And it's just different. I just think some of that's overkill. And they overlook things that you need for winter. Wiper blades, big thing. Lights, you know, we haven't used headlights other than daytime running lights for 6 months. Now all of a sudden it's dark at 4:30 at night, and there's people driving around, heading out to dinner, having a few beers, driving home with a brake light out. That's all you need for a cop to pull you over. You know, belts, hoses. There's things that you need to rely on in the winter that get highly overlooked. You know, the emphasis is always on the tires, but we see so many other things that cheap windshield washer solvent that you bought at the big box store in August. That's good.
It's now turned into gel.
It's good to 10 degrees. Yeah. And now it's frozen up and you need to buy a new reservoir because it cracked, plus a washer pump. There's just some things you got to think about when you live in Michigan in the winter.
Yep.
Indeed. The last little bit for me, I have seen it so much more when I go on test drives on newer vehicles. The ADAS systems or the, your lane assist, your ABS, your stability control, all these things really dumb down how you need to drive, like we were talking a little earlier, getting in a parking lot and figuring out how you can slide or whatever. And I see it all the time when I drive down Cascade, dropping the kid off to daycare. The high schoolers ripping down the right-hand lane in daddy's Jeep or whatever. And then all of a sudden it comes over that hill and you got to stop.
Bam.
And it just, boom, it hits. And when everything is dry, that stuff might work. Obviously ABS helps out, lane assist, adaptive cruise, what have you, all the cameras up the wazoo, but nothing matters when it's ice and you're sliding and you need to know how to, okay, do I overcorrect? Do I undercorrect? How do you handle it? And with all the modern technology, it's funny just to see like, whoa, I got this and that. And like, well, it ain't going to make you stop any quicker. So,
well, you just hit the nail on the head because they've done a million things. Traction control nowadays. It used to be a step on the gas and the car go da 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 and go sideways, and that was it. They've got everything down to a science except braking. You can have anti-locks that work in milliseconds, and it still doesn't. If you're going too fast for the coefficient of friction when you hit the brakes, you're screwed. It's just the way it is. I've always enjoyed driving around in inclement weather.
Oh, I love it.
Nor if it's snowing and it's crazy and stuff like that, to go out there and play with that and get the feel of it. And they've made everything easier for us except stopping. And that's when accidents happen because you just can't stop. Doesn't matter. They made us go faster in a situation where we still can't stop.
Be careful out there. That's the bottom line. And don't buy snow tires unless, you promised your dad that you would do that or something like that. Save your money.
If you buy new wheels and you've got the money to do it, you just go for it. But I just think that's unnecessary because it makes people drive faster than they need to.
Yep. And before you do, head on over to Verberg's and ask Al or John, which wheel should we get? And as John said, very important point, the TPMS systems, tire pressure monitoring systems on cars today, really advanced dramatically, even from 10, 15 years ago. So you want to make sure you are, buying the right wheels. You don't need anything fancy. Just, even if you can find some that are relatively new, in good shape, buy them pre-owned. There's nothing wrong with that. But stop into Verberg's, and now you know everything you need to know about winter tires, formerly known in another life as snow tires. And that will put the wraps on episode number 85. Until next time, for Michigan's Auto Talk Podcast, I'm producer Phil Tower.
I'm Al Schwinkendorf.
I'm John Puhek. Thanks for listening.